Okay, then welcome. Is that what I'm supposed to say? This is the introduction to our B12 Zoom meeting, number 2 in December. Yeah, so welcome everybody. And Peter, who's listening to the recording. Mark's got something growing on his face that's getting out of control. So how is everybody?
Yeah, fine, thank you.
Excellent. So what we thought, I mean, Sue and I had a little call yesterday based on, thank you for your responses to the email, in sort of getting a feel for what we want to talk about on this call, because the most important thing for us is that we're serving you in the best way possible. So we kind of don't want this, what we don't want is, we don't want this to be that we get together and just have a nice conversation. So, you know, that will happen, and we kind of have a bit of fun. We want it to be playful and I was going to say entertaining, not entertaining, fun, light, not heavy. But at the same time, we want to be having a direction and make sure that what we're exploring on these Zoom meetings are helpful to all of us, you know. So we can come here and just have a chat, see how everybody is, check in, which is pretty much what we did last time, and then address what needs to be addressed. But we thought if we gave you a little bit of time to come up with any sort of topic that's sort of burning issues for you right now, that would be a direction for us to point ourselves in, and then have an exploration around it. And just want to remind you all that this is a very safe space, just like the retreat. You know, that's how we want this to be, and that's the vibe and the space that we're creating here. So again, it's a really safe space for all of us to explore, within which to explore. And what was the other thing? So I've forgotten something. Oh, we're going to talk about listening a little bit again, aren't we? Well, just mention it, not really go into it, but just address the deep listening that we talked about on the retreat. And what we thought was on this, to start off with tonight, we would address what Verena brought up on as her topic to start with, and see how we got on with that, and see how much time we've got. And what we thought would be a good idea would be for either Verena to talk, just to talk a little bit about what she brought, what she's bringing to the table, if you like, and for us to listen, you know, do the deep listening, and then we can all explore with her what's going on for her, if that sounds like a good plan to everybody else. And then once we've dealt with that, if that's the, I don't know, that's not the right words, but if that comes to fruition, if that comes to an end, then we'll take the next one. Have you got anything you wanted to add? So.
No, I think that was the approach we were going to take. So really, it's a request. Is that okay with Verena for us to ask her? And then I was thinking, well, I could read a little of what you'd written, but that was, you know, the day before yesterday or last week. And what's really important is that we stay what's happening right now, because overnight things can change a lot. In a moment, things can change a lot. And so I think it would be more relevant and more, you know, for you if you're willing to. And just to reiterate what Sheila said, I think that what we're doing as a group is we're all in this together. So we are facilitating this, but, you know, between us and all together, not only is it, I think it's always beneficial to have an opportunity. It's a really great opportunity to be in that listening, listening energy or whatever. But the fact that we're all going to be having that opportunity is wonderful. So first of all, thank you in advance. I'm not sure if you've nodded yet to say it's okay. And I better unmute you, because that won't work, will it? So let me do my, so Verena, okay. I'll mute you, Sheila, so that we can keep the sound down.
Okay.
But I can't mute myself, it would appear. Okay.
No, that's...
Is that okay then, Verena?
Yeah, absolutely. Could you just give me a little reminder of what I wrote?
Well, it's interesting, isn't it? Because we both kind of said that. Maybe you wouldn't even remember. And I've done that lots of times. Something that seems really, really in the moment. And then I think, oh, what was that about?
Yeah.
Well, what I took from it was a couple of things, and it was your first word, overthinking. That I was thinking, oh, did she get my message wrong? But you were kind of, can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because your picture's frozen. And I got the sense that in a nutshell, I'd say what I got from that was that you want the picture to look different. That where you are right now, if you were to take a picture of that, it's the wrong picture, and there is another picture you'd rather have. So that's my summary, and part of that is the sense of that you're waiting. There's kind of like a treading water feeling to this. That things are, time seems to be passing, nothing happening.
Mm-hmm.
Does that remind you of?
Yes, yeah. And what you just said, well, that's a really interesting way to look at it, like where I am, that this picture, that's not the picture that I want, kind of thing, and that I want to be in a different picture. So, yeah, that's an interesting way to put it. Yeah, because I think, and yeah, I think that I should be able to make my living from what I am passionate about and what I find so fascinating, which are horses, and seeing the three principles in working in everything. And where I am at the moment, it doesn't look like this is happening, like this is not happening. And yeah, so it feels like I'm a bit in a transition time, like the old Verena that used to, do stuff to get ahead somehow, because there are a lot of things I could do, like I know starting a blog, or I know just I have a lot of things that I could do, but they feel like to-dos. And I know from experience from my past that these outside to-dos, they just don't really feel right. They would kind of satisfy my brain, or some part of me that thinks that I should do something, but they just don't feel right. And then there's this, so that's the kind of old me. And then there is a sense where that's not a knowing, that's just a sense that somehow from somewhere I will get an inspiration to do something, and then I'll just do it, because this is more like a knowing, or like a flow, like doing it in the flow, and not this brain approach, so that I have a good idea I could do and then apply this idea, but it's more coming from inside, and then I'm just doing it and going further along my path to, making a living with the things that I really like and that I want to bring out in the world. So yeah, and where I am right now, that's like somewhere in between. I'm not the way that I used to do it doesn't make sense anymore, and I don't really have the thing that makes sense. Oh well, at the moment it just makes sense to wait, but It's like I could wait forever because I don't know, maybe this inspiration will never come, and then I die waiting, kind of thing. So.
Okay. I think what I'm going to do then is I'm going to unmute people, and let's all be together.
Did that make sense, or was it just a bit too confusing?
No, it made sense to me.
Cool.
It made sense to me in the sense that I think you think you're confused about where you are, and that maybe you shouldn't be confused about where you are, and that maybe waiting's the right thing to do, but maybe you'll be waiting forever. And there's a history which we can't be like that because that's how I used to be. So does sound as if you're feeling confusion, but you're not happy with being confused.
Yeah, well, maybe it's not so much confusion anymore. It's more like, well, is it actually the right thing that I'm doing as in not doing? Like, yeah.
Can I ask you a question?
Yeah. Thanks.
Is this waiting? Is it something that you feel you should be doing, or is it because you really want to be in the space of not doing anything as you wait for inspiration?
I'm not quite sure if I got that.
I suppose I'm asking, is it something that I suppose I'm wondering if you think it's something you've heard that's a good idea to be doing, or whether it's something you really in your heart want to be doing. As in not taking action. You said something along the lines of, I could do the to-do list, as if that was something, I could do the to-do list, but that would just be sort of satisfying my intellect. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, because the picture's frozen for me.
No, I can hear you fine. Yeah.
Do you understand what I said? What I asked?
Well, what I understood is if this is an idea that I should not do as I did in the past, or if it's a feeling kind of thing, or if it feels right to not do what I did in the past.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. It feels right to not do what I did in the past. Yeah, that's how it feels like. It doesn't feel right to do as I did in the past. Yeah.
Okay. But there's a sense that at the moment you don't feel like you're in the right place either.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not where I want to be.
Okay.
Absolutely.
So where do you want to be?
I want to be where I actually earn a living by doing what I really want to do, as in working with people, working with horses.
Okay. Can you think? Feel free, anybody, to jump in. Anyway on the line. I just if I was saying that to you, what would you say to me?
Probably something like, well, probably it's part of the path already. This feeling that tells me that what I did before doesn't do it for me any longer. That is already a pointer, or it's wisdom. Like It's coming from inside of me. So, yeah. Inside of you.
One of the things. Go on, Mark.
Right. Let me just see if I understand clearly. So you know that you want to have your business working with people and horses, but you don't. But the to-dos that you have in your mind don't feel congruent with how you feel in your. You don't feel like it's the right thing to do. Is that what I'm hearing? Am I hearing? So you have an idea that you want to make money with the horses and your ideas with the people, but the to-do list that you've perhaps got written down or in your mind just doesn't feel right. Am I right in saying that?
Yeah. So I don't have a to-do that feels right. I have a lot of to-dos and they feel like things I would have done in the past, and I used to be really compelled to do them, and now I'm not so compelled anymore. It's
right. Now, can I ask?
Yeah.
Sorry to interrupt. So, can I ask? Is the lack of drive to do them because it just seems too much effort, or you really don't? Is it linked with the finances, the things you've got to do? Is it because the end goal seems too far away? I'm just asking out of curiosity. For example, if somebody said to me, "Oh, tomorrow you've got to run a marathon," I'd think about all the 25 miles or however how far it is. Whereas the old metaphor, if you think about one step at a time, it doesn't seem as scary. And the point I'm getting at is I'm just wondering if you're thinking too much about what your end goal would be ideally from the intellect, so that's stopping you from just taking baby steps. I'm just curious, really, in where you are and what's holding you in where you are.
Yeah, good question. It doesn't feel like it's too much effort, because I'm that's the old me. I used to push me really, even if the end goal looked very big and very far in the future, and there were so many steps in between. I just did them, and I didn't really actually achieve the goal and had a not so joyful journey. But yeah, I don't really right now. I don't have a clear goal. I just have a sense of what could be part of this goal. Like working with people, working with horses, but I don't have a real goal as such.
I totally understand. I personally totally understand what you mean, and I'm just curious. Is there any step you could take in any direction that would feel right, even if you don't know the end goal? Is there any step you could take that you would feel right, that wouldn't feel like an effort, that wouldn't feel like a to-do? Is there anything?
Yeah.
Because sometimes I've been in that position myself, and Sheila will tell you, where I'm so busy thinking about how things should be at the final goal that I don't do anything. And I think sometimes just doing something leads in a direction. It might not be the direction you expect to go in, but it's just taking a step in a direction that you want to step in.
Well, that's interesting. What just came up for me is, I'm looking for a new way to get to this goal that I don't know yet, where I just know some of the ingredients, maybe.
Right.
And so maybe even these steps, they feel differently, like I know before they felt like effort and it felt like, ooh, I need a lot of energy to do them, and I did them, and then when I finally did one step and the next, then it was like, oh, yes, I did it. And so maybe I am already taking some steps, but they don't feel like it. For example, when I'm working with my horse, with Rhonda, I'm different with her now. Like when we are together, I kind of threw most of the things that I knew about being with horses. Most of them I just threw out of the window. And yeah, pretty much all of it. And now I'm asking her what is really working, and this is a kind of try and error at the moment. So I guess this is a step, or these are steps, how I am with Rhonda. Yeah, I am already doing something.
I think you have another problem. You don't always work with your horse, with people in a certain direction. And now you have changed your way to work completely.
What do you mean?
Your book, for example.
Yeah.
You're in a new area.
Yeah.
And it means, I think, your goal is your goal has changed completely. Not the work not working with people and horses, but the way to do the thought it's right. It isn't right for you.
It's true. Well, actually, I forgot about that. It's a bit like, what I wrote a few days ago is like, okay, what was it again? I forgot a bit that, since the time that I met you all, my approach has changed quite a bit. So,
A bit.
Okay. So probably this could be part of this journey.
I didn't quite catch what Thomas was saying to you. What is it that you've forgotten to mention?
Well, that, when I was talking about my ideas, what I wanted to do in the future with horses and people, that the basis, the foundation for that has changed
Completely.
very much since then. So, how I'm seeing horses now and humans being with horses, this approach has changed or is changing. So I actually have a different foundation now, or I am experiencing, or I'm experiencing a new foundation. How do you call that? Like exploring. Thank you. Oh wow.
It's a good job Thomas is here.
Yeah.
I'm reminder and
The better English.
the translator.
Very good.
So as you're talking now, and it feels really light-hearted and kind of quite amusing that, actually I've got a totally different foundation. I'd just forgotten about that. So looks and feels like a very lighter kind of touch. So from that point, from that feeling, can you just say again what the nature of the problem is? Let's say what is the issue here?
Well, I'd say the problem was the problem that I mentioned, that I felt like I was waiting, not, I could see that what I'm used to do isn't working, and now I'm waiting for an inspiration and a revelation, what to do, the next step in the future, in the bright future. And that nothing much is happening where I am at the moment. And well, probably there is quite a bit happening.
Do you know what came to my mind was that how we do have each one of us a unique, well, I can only speak for myself, but tell me if I'm wrong. We have a unique take on time. We have a unique take on who we are and what we should be doing and how we should be doing it and how long it should take us. And we kind of wrap up the past in these moments of insight and say, well, I know what I don't want. I don't want to do that again. Well, actually, a whole lot of good stuff has been evident in most people's past because, there have been good ideas in all of our lives, which if we call it a good idea, it doesn't sound like inspiration. But I wonder if that's just a definitional thing, because some of the good ideas I've had, I think, if I look back, I think, blimey, that was inspiration. But I didn't speak that language then, so I wouldn't have recognised it. And I think there is now I am just speaking for myself, for me, when I was learning about the principles, it was a bit like, there was a danger of throwing the baby, we have an expression, throwing the baby away with the bathwater. So nothing that I already knew was going to be good enough or could serve me, because I was just waiting for it to be completely infused with something magnificent and, extraordinary. And then when it settled down, and sometimes I still get in that, is this inspiration or is it just a good idea? It's kind of like, well, who's making that question up really? Because again, what we'd say is about how we feel. And you've referenced feeling a lot, haven't you, as you've been talking? So if you didn't think that you were, you haven't used the word stuck. You said that time is passing. So if you didn't have that thought, oh, time's passing me by, and a different thought came to you. I mean, there's an infinite number of different thoughts that could come to describe this moment. And so one way of describing it, say, well, time feels like time's passing me by. But you will feel that if that's the thought. Or you might feel, wow, what an amazing period of time to be learning something so new. And so on and so on and so on. It's just that whatever thought we've got about what's happening is the thought we have that's creating the feeling. And it's the old metaphor of the wine bottle, isn't it? If the wine bottle's full of wine, we can't put fresh stuff in until so whether we're entertaining better quality thoughts about, oh, now I understand a little more about how life works, they're better quality thoughts. I'm not going to chuck those out to wait for fresh thoughts. I'm going to keep entertaining those and hope that they're the right thoughts. But it is just all thinking again, isn't it? Mm-hmm. So I suppose what I'm saying really is there really a problem without us thinking there's a problem? Is that possible? Is it true that time is passing you by?
Well, that's a really interesting thought. At the moment, I'd say yes. It feels very true. But I know that, there could be another thought that I don't have at the moment. And it feels very impossible. But yeah, it could be that it could feel differently. That's not just time is passing by and I'm getting nowhere. It could be that it's just a thought.
Because it's interesting, in the past you'd have been busy. you'd have been taking the steps to reach the goals that you would set, and then you'd be motivating and being motivated by outside, I guess, pressures or whatever. And it's just that I just get a sense that okay, right now that's how you feel about this situation, but you know that that's a temporary. Everything's a temporary situation. So it's being reminded that, well, we can try and fix the situation, but it seems like there's a little remnant there of, I guess I don't want to be in the world that I used to be in, where I had all these targets and goals and I'd be having a to-do list. So I've thrown that out, but I'm still left with the feeling that I should be doing something. Well, what if this is the new inspiration? What if this is inspired action? That you're learning about, you're having a relationship that is opening up your mind to a different way of being with horses that at some point is going to be invaluable to other people. But should it be that you've learned it already? I mean, is there a time that we should say Verena should have learned this thing that she's going to share with people? Because I have no idea. I've no idea.
Yeah.
Can I just say something that's just come to mind? Sorry, Verena, were you going to say something then?
One thing, yeah. No, with this, that's something that also came to my mind, is to see that action, or that this is just a thought, and this thought of time is passing by, and I mean it's a feeling for me. It feels awful, standing here and time is passing by, the whole thing, the whole complex. And yeah, it was a thought that I had today, that what if this could change as well? Like if this is just, if this is just a thought that at the moment feels really real, and I don't know how it could look differently, but just being open for it to maybe change, maybe not, I don't know if that makes sense to you.
Mm. Gillian, did you want to say anything?
What came up that I was curious about is
Excuse me.
whether you're comfortable in the not knowing space, Verena.
No.
And what I heard you say just now, and I actually wrote it down, is it feels awful.
Yeah, no, I don't like it. I don't like it.
So how would it be if you could be comfortable in that space without trying to fill it with all the thoughts about how uncomfortable it is? And that's kind of, maybe it's blocking the inspiration. That could be, it could be all these little inspiration things trying to get in, and because there's this kind of helmet of I'm feeling awful, I don't like it, you're missing what the universe is saying.
Yeah, that's a good point, Jo.
Do you think Rhonda's having any of these insecurities?
That's a great question.
No, probably not.
And the obvious question is, and why do you think she's not?
Oh well, she's just in her life.
She didn't learn to tell the time, did she? Nobody gave her a diary for Christmas.
True. Yeah,
There's a lot to learn from animals and nature, isn't there?
absolutely.
Mm.
Mark, what did you want to say?
It was. I'm sorry, I had to rush off to the phone just a second ago, so I missed what Gillian said. But it's probably. It was just in the moment. Sid Banks' words came to mind. Was, you don't have to think. You don't. So I can totally relate to what you're saying, because in the past I've had inspirations to do things, and then sometimes it might even I've like felt something that I really want to do, and then the next week it's just disappeared, or it's not being as powerful. But then my intellect has still been saying, "Oh well, you why aren't you doing it?" Why? And I've kind of been beating myself up because I'm not doing anything. Whereas I think sometimes I'm kind of contradicting myself a bit now, because before I said, well, not really now, because it's like if there's one step you can take it. But if it's foolish to take a step if you don't feel like taking a step, I think. But the more you're in your thoughts thinking, oh, I should be doing something, I should be doing something, I should be doing, you're not allowing. This may be what Gillian was pointing to. I don't know, because I missed what she said. But you're not allowing for fresh thinking to come through. And I'm just, what occurs to me to say to you is don't beat yourself up. If it takes you a year, it's better to take a year of not knowing what to do than spending 5 years of going in the wrong direction, you know?
That's a good point.
Very good point.
I'm putting it into a different perspective. You know, say we all, fingers crossed, live to be 90. Well, a year out of 90 feels like a very short amount of time. I mean,
can I say something?
Yeah.
What I see is you were on a path maybe 5 or 8 years ago on your path to work with horses in a certain way, and 2 or 4 weeks ago you've gotten completely another impulse, and I think you are on your path. And I don't see, I can't see that you are waiting. I think it's a completely new thing, completely new. It's what I see.
It's really easy for somebody on the outside to see the situation, isn't it? It's so easy for us to see other people's stuff, but Verena's in it. Is in it, and that's her experience of being in it and seeing it differently from within, I suppose, from the inside.
But I guess we can all relate to, the details would be different, but I can certainly relate wholeheartedly to everything you're saying. The details would be different. It would be my story, my feeling of stuckness, the way that I sort of see, things I haven't done and I felt I should, or things I'd love to do and I haven't, I've been too afraid, and et cetera, et cetera. So I think what we're talking about, if you take the details away, is about being human and about unlearning certain things that we've learned and getting confused about what the intellect wants to do and how our intellect's been fed for a long time as if it's a chief. But for our thinking about where we are in this moment, we'd be fine. We are fine. And when you really, really boil it down to, the only struggle or the only suffering we can have is the result of what we think. So, I mean, it's helpful to me when people are, Thomas has said something very supportive, because I think, as Sheila said, it's ever so easy we can see the brilliance in other people. We can see that they are, we're all growing. But when we're growing, it feels uncomfortable because it's as Gillian said, really. How the heck do you be comfortable with this not knowing thing? How the heck do you become comfortable with this feeling? But it's just a feeling telling you what your thinking's doing after all. Isn't that great? Fantastic. You're not going to be sidetracked anymore because you know what the feeling's telling you. You're not going to be 5 years down that road, running that marathon, mixing a few metaphors. My speciality.
But there are people who love being in the unknown. I know people who, I've talked to them. They're very adventurous, they go off and they're exploring because they love the unknown. I mean, I'm not one of those people. And I'm guessing that you're not particularly, Verena, either. From what you've been saying.
Yeah, it depends. It really depends on what the issue is. Because I love to go somewhere that I've not been before, and that not knowing how it will all work out. But I don't know, it's strange, and I absolutely dislike it in this important situation, this important area.
Why is it so important? That's the thing. So I was tempted to ask you earlier on. Just to check in with you, are you putting, you've probably heard this time and time again, but I just want just a reminder, I guess, just checking in with you. Are you putting your well-being and your goal, if you like, if you want to call it a goal, your vision, the direction you're heading in, do you feel like your well-being's attached to that in some way?
If I'm attached to it?
Is your well-being attached to that? So I'm saying at this present, unless, there's a sense of, I need to achieve that to be okay. And I won't be okay unless I achieve it. So it's kind of putting your happiness, your well-being on the goal, if you like.
Yeah, it's really that important. Yeah, it's true.
So therein lies that's why it's so important to you. You feel like unless I get there, then I'm not going to be as happy or as joyous or whatever it is that means a lot to you, at peace, fulfilled. Is that the sense? And you're frozen now, so I can't see your face. But is that the sense?
Yeah, absolutely. Okay. It feels like if I'm not able to get there and making a living with what I love to do, then my life is just not worth living. That's it.
Really? Okay, so that's strong.
Yeah, it is very strong.
I'll choose.
I was going to say, what if I told you that wasn't true?
Sorry?
What if I told you that wasn't true, that you've just completely made that up?
Sounds good.
I know. And?
I wish I could feel it.
Well, that points in the direction of what Sue was saying earlier, but for the thinking. You would feel that.
Yeah. Well, what comes up for me more and more is really this, maybe all these things that feel so right and so important, and that's just the only way, and that's just truth, that maybe they're not. I have no idea how it could look differently. It feels really important. It feels like, my life and my well-being is depending on it. It absolutely feels like that, and yeah, maybe it's not. Like, I know it's a thought, but it doesn't feel like a thought. So, well, I guess that's what the 3 principles are all about. That, yeah, it's thought and it doesn't feel like a thought.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm. Yeah, that's real life application. What I want to share with people.
Maybe all this is just really good learning for your future explorations when you actually do come to do whatever you do. Again, sometimes our intellect wants to, this. I'm speaking personally from when I've been speaking with Sheila, and I have been together now for 10 years, and I've been working in the.
Oh,
more than
11. Get it right.
It feels like 10. It feels like 2 years. feels like 30, Thomas. But I'm so with you, Verena, because I've been working in the gardens since on and off since I was a boy, and in my heart I've had the feeling that I've wanted to do something else, but I didn't know what it was, and so it was frustrating for me for many years because it was like, well, people would suggest things, Sheila would suggest things, friends would suggest things, but it never felt right. So to beat myself up relentlessly, thinking, what can I do? What can I do? What can I do? And I know I've probably said this to you already in one way, but in many ways that gets in the way of seeing the opportunities that are there. So I think the more you can just accept where you are at the moment, I think the more chances of you finding some clarity. I know I'm probably just repeating what I said earlier, but that's just what
you
came
like
to
to
mind.
do.
Yeah, I like to repeat myself. That's my new thing in life. Just repeating myself. I find great pleasure in that.
Well, I find it helpful to hear it again and again in different stories. So, no, it's, yeah, makes sense. Good to know that I'm not alone.
Yeah.
No.
You're definitely not alone.
Can I just ask you, Maureen? When I think that you were in this area, if I'm right, and think in interpreting what your response to the, what could this call be about, when you talked about inspired action versus, and I kind of think it wouldn't really matter what topic we pick tonight because it all just knits together, doesn't it? So
absolutely, yeah.
Is there anything kind of coming to you about what we're talking about, and it at an angle or the same angle, or anything you want to bring up?
It's kind of the same angle. And kind of it all really dovetails in very nicely together. So I've written myself a few notes just from the conversation that we've had this evening that's helping me getting a bit clearer on the question that I posed about. But it does all come down to being comfortable in the unknown. That sense of seeking and searching and wanting to know the answers actually just serves to cloud the issue further as opposed to providing clarity. And what struck me was the more we try to seek a solution or a new direction, the more we add into the mix. It's like the glitter ball being shaken up or the snow globe being shaken up, And the more we shake it, the worse it gets. Whereas what we really need to do is do nothing. And that's not saying take no action. It's about do nothing about the issue that you think you have and step away from it. And invariably, you will find clarity around the issue that you perceived that you had, and then you'll find that it was a non-issue to start with. But it's about getting your fingers out of the whole thing. Stop meddling, because the more you meddle, the more you shake. I have my little glitter ball here. And I use this as an example when I'm talking to people about the more thinking you put onto something to get a solution, the worse it gets, because you're not allowing the clear thinking, which is just exactly what Gillian and Mark had said earlier. It's about stepping away from it. And so for me, when I posed the question for the call tonight, it was around the issue about how inspired action versus following every idea that I come up with in my head. Are they good ideas? Well, that sounds like and I was getting into the scenario, and Sheila will back me up on this, about getting into the bright shiny object scenario of thinking, oh, that sounds like a good idea, and that sounds like a good idea, and then actually never actually taking any action because they all sounded so good. I'm thinking, oh, crikey, what one do I go with first? And then nothing happens. And then thinking, like Mark was saying, that something that sounded like a good idea a week ago has now lost its gloss and its shine. Or maybe that wasn't the right thing anyway, so we'll park that and we'll move on to the next thing. And actually, all of that supposedly action was not inspired. It was doing stuff for the sake of doing stuff. Rather than sitting and being comfortable in the unknown, being comfortable in the sense of a solution will present itself when I'm not looking. It's when I'm looking that the fog starts to appear, and the more I look, the worse the fog gets. It's just how I've been seeing it more, even just in the past 24 hours. It's become, that's my fog is starting to clear, so to speak. Does that make sense?
Can I just ask you quickly, when you say the more you are looking at the fog, so the more you're looking at the problem, should you do this or should you do that? Is that what you were talking about?
Yeah.
Which decision to take?
Which decision, and thinking that I have to find a decision and I have to find a solution now. That sense of urgency around it has to happen, because if it doesn't happen now, I'm wasting so much time and adding more and layer upon layer upon layer of thinking onto it. And the more I do that, the more I don't see anything very clearly at all. Which kind of was sort of what you were speaking to earlier, I think.
Yeah, it's part of it. It's in the mix as well. Absolutely.
I also find that this time of year the thinking gets worse, because there's this whole notion about you have to find, well, there's a brand new year coming, and what am I going to be doing? I need to set these goals and my New Year's resolutions, and this whole layer upon layer about thinking that there's a to-do to be done, whereas actually there isn't. And that's just old thinking, as you were saying about the Verena, the old thinking that you had doesn't fit with you now. So for me, the old pattern of thinking that I have to come up with a list of 10 New Year's resolutions to kind of complete, and then by the end of January they've all gone out the window anyway, so I might as well not bothered. It seemed like a good idea at the time, and I'm a great one for writing lists and stuff. So yeah, it's about being at peace with where you're at. that sense of acceptance.
And is that what, because you said in the last 24 hours, it's kind of, I don't know, has it changed or did it get more intense?
I'm seeing where I was more clearly now. Yeah.
Okay.
But then I had a fantastic call with Lady Sheila yesterday. So
It's not me, Maury.
no, I know,
Me.
but hey, you were instrumental in it somehow or other.
If it just occurred to me to say this, even if in the next, after we finish this call, for example, Brennan, you suddenly have clarity about which direction to go in, and you suddenly think, oh, I know which direction to go in, and you start making the steps. It's not making the steps that will give you that feeling of that you're looking for, and that feeling of peace that it seems like you're lacking. It's just you're thinking again. I know we keep talking about it, and I still seen it day by day. It's like, oh, it's I'm doing it to myself. I'm doing it to myself. I'm doing it to myself. And even when you discover what you want to do, what you're doing is not going to be giving you the peace and the what you're looking for. It's something that's going to arise from you anyway. And I know we've all heard that before, but I think it's important sometimes just to be repeated. And I need it to repeat to me quite often, as Sheila will tell you.
Oh, I do too.
So do I.
Definitely.
It's brilliant, but Sheila tends to do it. Sheila, I'll be getting into a strop about something, and Sheila will suddenly say, "You know what that is, don't you?" Just pointing back to thought, and I think, oh. I think it's just letting yourself off the hook for just try it. Just give yourself a day, and then give yourself another day, and then give yourself another day. And I bet any money you'll the direction you need to. If you think about, well, what if it's 2 weeks? What if it's 3 weeks? What if it's a month before I know which direction I need to go? Then you're building a wall around yourself. Whereas you just say, oh, well, I'll give myself an hour to not know, and then I'll give myself another hour. And then it just automatically, I think you'll find a bit of peace around that and clarity. And maybe
that's lovely. Yeah, and also this, what you just said about that I think at the moment the steps, when I'm taking the steps, that this will give me the feeling. And yeah, it's true. And probably what came to my mind when I heard that was probably this is old thinking as well. Like this is how I knew it in the past. Like when I did the steps, this kind of felt okay. It kind of felt good because I had something to do. But it was, I know that there's a different feeling, and this is a feeling that I'm probably haven't had so often with an issue that is so important to me. That the whole thing will feel completely different from what I think it will feel. I don't know if this will make sense. Like, yeah, I'm making such a big thing of it at the moment. And I think it will just all be completely different from what I can imagine right now. How the steps will feel, how I will feel, how the thing will feel, how my goal will feel, whatever. I think it will be completely different from what I can think about now. Because I don't know it yet.
I'm reminded of somebody said something. I don't know if it's the Dalai Lama, somebody like that, who said something along the lines of, he's always happy, or something like always happy, always content, always at peace, because he just doesn't care. There's somebody who says that, isn't there? There's somebody. There's a sense of, going back to I'm putting a lot of importance on reaching this or achieving whatever it is you want to achieve. And there's just a sense of, well, what if you just didn't care anymore? I think we talked about that in the retreat a bit, didn't we? About just not caring from the point of view of, not that you don't care about people and things, but that's that, well, what if I just don't care anymore? How would that be? What if I just don't care whether I work with horses or I do or I don't, or it's kind of just a letting go, isn't it, of how I think it should be, how I think it should be.
Yeah, and
that's where our peace comes from. Oh, do you? Doing one step at.
Yeah, for what if I could just let myself look for an hour.
An hour.
For a day, for the next day,
So I like that approach on my washing up. I do allow myself to go to the sink and think, I'll just wash one cup and see how I feel after that, and not do the whole pile, I'll just do another one, and then just by the time, quite honestly, it tends to, and I'm doing it all by then, but I don't tell myself I've got to do it all. It's like one cup at a time, and somehow the pile of washing up disappears. It's amazing. So I can vouch for that approach, definitely, on washing up. Cool.
And I tend to do the washing up anyway now. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah, whatever.
Time we got a dishwasher for Christmas.
Yeah, it's you. How's it feeling now, Verena? Is it feeling any different?
Yeah. It feels it's getting wider and loose. It's getting a bit looser. It's not so set anymore. And what I also find interesting, like in the past, if I had the feeling that so many lovely people are giving me such great ideas and thoughts and advice, this would make me feel but I can't, and it's different now, it's the opposite. It's getting bit by bit a bit wider and looser, and that's really cool. That's really cool.
And at the end of the day, people aren't giving you anything. It's what you recognize to be true in yourself, isn't it? I think if it makes sense, it makes sense. And if it doesn't, you'll dismiss it. So it's recognizing what makes sense to you in the moment.
Yeah, I agree, Mark. I want to share your picture or an insight what I have. I realized that I was looking for enthusiasm, and I thought, where is my enthusiasm? There has to be my vision. I combined my vision with enthusiasm, and I looked for, this is great for me, and there is my enthusiasm. There has to be this thing, my vision, and in my and now I can see that it's like it was like an air balloon filled with gas, and the air balloon approach or goes to the top of the room, and and the top of the room is my vision, and I need this gas in this air balloon to reach the top, and so it was with my enthusiasm. I needed the enthusiasm to reach my vision. And now in my real life, or in the past, it happened that some things came to me without enthusiasm. They were carried to me, and they were here, and I only have to grab it or to take it, and without enthusiasm. And now, for example, I've made my short film with actors. I finished it. It was the final thing of our education group. And after this film, I spoke with one actor, and I shared with him my vision to make screenplays or to be a director. And 2 days later, he phoned me, and he called me by phone and said, "Yeah, I have someone. These guys want that I make a stage play, a screenplay for theater." And there was no enthusiasm, and I didn't realized in the first moment it's the same thing I every time wanted to do. It's okay, it is so. Someone is saying make a screenplay. And 2 or 3 days ago, I thought, am I crazy? It's this thing I every time want to be, to do a screenplay, and now there is the chance to do it, and it's okay. Yeah, it is so. It's a fact. I thought no, and 2 or 3 times ago, I realized, okay, I every time searched for enthusiasm. Where is it? I don't need it.
It's a trick. It's a trick of the mind. Just keep telling us we need stuff. We don't need anything.
Yeah, it is.
Oh, we keep throwing our well-being out in front of us all the time. We're like a dog. Do you know when you have a dog and you throw the ball for the dog? But we're doing it for ourselves. We throw. You go. Oh yeah, mate, it's over there. I've got to go and get it over there. And then we pick it up for a moment or two, and then we throw it again onto the new career or the screenplay or what should I do, or the partner. We're constantly doing it. But I think if we can just, and I do it all the time as well. And then momentarily, I see myself doing it. I'd look at the ball and just, okay, I've got it. But then I forget and then throw it in front of me again. I think.
Good picture.
Well, congratulations, Thomas. You got your screen.
Fantastic. We're enthusiastic about it.
Yeah. I hope you haven't jumped into English.
Mark, what did you say?
Having a translation.
I hope you haven't it translated into English so I can watch it, or with subtitles.
German.
You have to learn German. I have a translator on my side.
He hasn't learned Spanish yet.
Yeah, we're a bit slow.
Okay. Without enthusiasm, maybe. No, it's so crazy. So it's the same as my business. I'm doing now. I've wrote it to Sue. For 4 years or 5 years, I thought I have to change my business, and I want to do something what fills me up with peace and with a good feeling in me. And I searched. I was searching and searching, and at the same time, for 4 or 5 years, 2 intelligent guys spoke to me and say, "Hey, try it with selling gold and silver. It's a good thing. It helps people, and it's a good thing for you." And I say, "Okay, yeah, it's not mine." And and it was it was lying here. And now I do this, and it was great. At the point I've started, it was a huge huge amount of money. People were throwing to me and say, "Hey, do something with this money, with our money. Let's buy gold and silver." And I thought, it's unbelievable. It's so crazy. I'm searching and searching, and the line beside me say, "Hey, do it." So, I thought it's separated from me. It's not. It's so crazy. And now it's similar. But I have. I can look not so, but I think so. A little bit wider. Yeah, it's
Interesting.
so crazy.
When I hear you speaking, Thomas, what just came to mind was something I think I've heard Michael Neal say recently. And this is for you, Verena, for everybody really, for me too. And it's along the lines of, it reminded me because Thomas was talking about, it felt like he's talking about something that's already there, but he just couldn't see it. You know, it's already like the low-hanging fruit or something. It's just there, but for some reason we block it out of our vision. And there's a great exercise that Michael Neal suggests to do, and it's in the form, but I just thought I'd throw it out there in case it takes your fancy and it's an inspired thing to do for you. Because when I heard it, I thought, yes, that's a good idea, and I've just remembered it again, as you do, good ideas. And it's to take minimum 5 minutes, maximum 15 minutes a day of writing down, and it's to do with making money. Because you're talking about making a living and how am I going to make a living. But it's just to take 5 minutes, maximum 15 minutes, just to write down absolutely everything that comes to mind that you could possibly do to reach your goal of making the money doing what you love. If you just spend 5 minutes every day just taking it, on the computer, or take a piece of paper and write down absolutely anything and everything that comes to mind. The most, doesn't have to be to do with your horses, or because it might not be the direction you're thinking in. It might be completely different. It might be like Thomas said, it was there, but I just didn't see it. Or it's already here, and I'm already doing it, but I'm just not recognizing it. Who knows? And it could be something so alien that you've never even, it's not entered your mind yet, I just thought I'd offer that as something that's maybe interesting, maybe not, maybe inspirational. I just thought, well, that's a good idea. I've tried things like that before, and it's interesting that, for me anyway, what's already there, I get it out on paper. What's already there, it's like the old regurgitated stuff that's the obvious. So I write all that down. But then you get to maybe 20 things, 21 things, 22, and then the sort of mind has to get much more creative and get much more sort of tuned in. And then something starts to happen. Oh, it might work, it might not.
Mm.
Good idea. I just throw it out there.
And how long did you say? 5 minutes only?
5
Okay.
minutes, yeah. Maximum 15. You don't want to make it into a chore or a big task. It's just playing, really, for just 5 minutes, 10 minutes, 15 minutes, whatever feels right.
Mm.
Just playing.
Okay.
The worst thing that can happen is you come up with a list of stupid ideas. You know, and you've wasted 5 minutes a day of your life. I don't
Oh,
know.
it's a lot of time.
Pardon, I missed that. It broke up then.
Who are you
What
talking to?
was the last thing Thomas said?
I didn't understand you, Mark. What you say?
Oh no, I didn't understand the last thing you said. That's all.
It's a lot of time, 5 minutes a day.
Oh, it's
Oh,
a
yeah.
lot of time. Oh, I didn't even say that.
It was very important.
Really?
No,
Mark.
very important. The most important sentence in this evening.
You can do it while you're sitting on the toilet.
Sheila.
Okay.
Multitasking.
I'm going to have to edit that out. You realise that? However that's done.
Yeah, I'd like to see you do that one soon.
I love your vote of confidence, Sheila.
My vote of constant confidence is I'm trusting you to keep your eye on the time. I have absolutely no idea what to do.
Got my eye on the time. Yeah.
So has anybody else got anything that comes up for them? I know, Gillian, you offered something for today's call that we haven't touched on. If you want us to have a go at that again, and I have no idea how much time we have left. So.
I'll tell you, Sheila, it's 21 minutes past the hour.
Okay.
In time.
Yeah, I've got 9 minutes. Loads of time.
Loads of time. Yeah, I was just had my business hat on, I guess, thinking about having conversations around strategic partnering and joint venturing. That's what popped up when Sue's email came in, and I think already, I've got loads of things that have come up for me, and I think the putting well-being on a goal, putting great importance on having the conversations is something that certainly in the past would have got in the way. And I'm kind of interested that the conversations I've had so far, or the contact I've made, has been effortless. And that's a very new experience. So it's just seeing how oh, that's interesting. That went the way it went. And it's almost like just taking the step of making the connection and asking for a conversation versus thinking about what's going to go wrong before I've even made the conversation, the contact, and having a great big story about how they're not going to be interested or whatever is not occurring at the moment for me. And so reminding myself that putting the well-being on the conversation ain't going to be great, ain't going to work. It's much easier to get into action. And so that's something that's, a revelation, I guess. And I know that, it's not always, sometimes I'm going to get into a lot of thinking about it, but almost playing with it and not being attached to the outcome. I'm seeing that more and more. And just relaxing into it. And also, I give it my best shot. But if at the end of the day something doesn't materialize, then well, yeah, I know I did what I could. I did my best, and oh well, you know. I'm so in love with Cassie Casey's "Oh well."
Yeah.
It takes the pressure off, doesn't it?
Mm.
And it's almost like, since I asked that, or sort of said this is what I'd like to talk about, that's what's been occurring. That's interesting in itself. Ask the question, the universe comes back with an answer. And if you've got your eyes open, and you think, okay, that's knocked that hurdle down out the way. And it's sort of like, got a bit of a clear run now, and that obviously something will come up at some stage. But again, and getting into the getting uncomfortable feeling, and not being scared off by that, which is what we started off talking about. And seeing that, because Verena, I hate not knowing. I really, really hated it. So unexplored waters, and just allowing myself to dip my toe in it and see if it's really that cold, the water, or whether it's okay to have a little paddle around in it, maybe even have a splosh and a swim in it, and get refreshed if it's a bit cool, or if it's nice and warm, then just bask in that feeling too. I don't know, I have no idea how it's going to turn out until it happens. And that's something I was talking to a friend earlier we had a conversation. That conversation went on and on and on that Sunday, and she made contact, and we had another chat on Skype. And I just see how embroiled in her thinking she was, and has been and is. And it's like, I can see it so clearly when it's happening to you, but I can't see when it's happening to me. And I guess we all play that game, don't we? So,
at least we know what the game is.
Yes.
At least when we're embroiled, we know what we're embroiled in. It's an illusion. Whereas to be embroiled in something and to not know that is, I guess fear is fear, but we know it's going to pass. And we get stronger and we get clearer, and same things don't keep visiting us. This is what I find. I think that it put it in a number of ways, but when you think how we started off before we accumulated all these beliefs, we were free. We could go paddling, to use your analogy, and we didn't think the stakes were very high, and if we fell over, well, we just got up. We weren't really concerned with reputation or failure. And now it's like we're just unlearning all the stuff that happened in between then and now, because now we've got an opportunity, because somebody's been able to say to us, this is how it works. We didn't need to know in the beginning because we were just in it. And then we accumulated a whole load of stuff which we've been carrying around with us, and now we've got to unlearn the stuff in order to have the best of both worlds, because we do have to earn a living. We do have some, let's call them, responsibilities. We're not children, but we can be as children in this world and still operate, as in our adult form. We aren't children, we are adults, but we can have what we once had. And that's, I loved what you said, Thomas, about the enthusiasm. I just think that's so funny, because I realized today I was in a group and I didn't expect, why didn't I expect? But I didn't expect it to be sort of fruitful. I was there to learn. And I was in conversation with two women, and they got really interested in the principles. And at the end of the day, this woman was asking me, well, did I think I could work with her husband? She wanted me to think with her husband. And, the old me, I thought, God, that would be great. Yeah. Hand it to me on a plate. But then the new me just says, well, hang on a minute. Can't fix anybody. And so we had a different conversation. It was more around her. And because she was there, and I don't know anything about her husband, and I can only have her story of her husband. So but the door is open to her now having a conversation with him, and if it feels right for them, then they can have a conversation with me. And it felt, I didn't feel in the slightest bit needy or desperate, or, you know, I can live with it and I can live without it. If I can help, then I would sincerely love to help. But I didn't feel, that felt a bit how I'm just guessing you might have felt. It felt very calm. It just felt really relaxed and natural. So it wasn't like full of, wow, I'm going to get a chance to do this thing called sharing the principles and saving people from suffering. It was just kind of, I'd love to help, but, you know, there's a way we can do this that would come from wisdom as opposed to come from my head. And then another woman said, she said, well, I definitely want to get in touch with you because I've got some questions that have come up since we've been talking. And I just thought, well, that would be lovely. I'd love to have a conversation with you. And it just felt as natural as, and I think we have this on one of our little videos, Sheila. Why isn't it that we can't have conversations about when someone says, what time is it? You say, oh, it's 8:20. We go, oh no, they've asked me what time it is. This is a really tricky question because really time doesn't exist, and how am I going to explain it? And I don't think I'm inspired at this moment to answer that question. You know, we go down that track. And so the question was, the start of the whole thing, there was another woman in the group who, when she did her bit of introduction, she said that she uses NLP, and the 3 principles, and my jaw dropped because I still don't expect to hear anybody talking about 3 principles. And Mandy, who was running this group, she said, Sue, you didn't expect to hear that today. And then she said to this other woman, Sue's amazing. She is, she is the 3 principles, and she's responsible for bringing it to the UK. And I'm thinking, I never said that. that's a very big up, and she doesn't know me that well. So I thought, well, wonderful, she's boosting. And then so the other, so what are the 3 principles? Like all the questions.
Oh, but you just take that one.
It was fine because I didn't have to give the best answer ever. I just had to answer as it occurred to me then, and from a relaxed, non-excitable point of view. But you know what I felt? I just felt this lovely, it's quiet, but it was lovely and tangible energy. Because when I do talk about them, it reminds me as I'm saying it. So wherever I am, I just get that nice reminder. And in a way, I don't know if this makes sense, but a lot of the time we spend telling ourselves off. We tell ourselves off. We're sort of subtly criticizing ourselves. We're seeing where we're deficient. And when we're talking about the principles and sharing them, it's just such a different feeling. I'm not talking about how rubbish I am at systems and organization of this. I'm talking about something that touched me as the truth when I first heard it and has gone on touching me as the truth. Beautiful. Even if I muck it up, I've really been reminded that's good enough. I hope I don't put people off, but anyway. So it's funny that resonated with me. I hadn't recognized it until you said it again. When I read your email, I kind of was thinking, I didn't quite understand it. And when you talked about it tonight, that's just, linked into how I felt today. I could recognize that. Doesn't come with bells and whistles necessarily. It doesn't have to. But if we think it has to, we're never going to see it if it doesn't. So we create these filters, don't we, the whole time? Same with the good idea versus inspired thinking. How the heck do you know the difference? Well, I guess inspiration might feel this way or that way. But the minute we think it's got to feel this way, then we're limiting it. I just think what Maureen said was brilliant. Get your fingers out. I'm thinking of a pie, get your fingers out. Messing it up. Let's tell it simply. Well, that's great to hear what you were saying, Jill. It's the effortless nature of it, or the more natural kind of, let's just be with other people and with ourselves in a really quiet way, which doesn't mean we can't get all excited as well, but there's a quietness to it. For me, that's the word I would use. It's more of a knowing than a searching.
Yeah, definitely.
Mm.
And again, I'm just reminded of what Sheila said about about the non-caring thing, and the trouble is the word caring can be linked to like so many different things, but it's again, it's like you're not putting your well-being on something. And I heard that when Gillian spoke, it's like she was having conversations, but she wasn't putting her well-being on it, so she didn't care, so she could relax and just have a conversation with people. And we can do that in every aspect of life. It's like you can walk down the street and not worry if you're going to trip up, and you're probably less likely to trip up because you're relaxed. And if you do trip up, it's not a problem. Yeah.
It's non-attachment, isn't it, Mark?
Yeah, non-attachment.
Do you reckon we're all okay then, really? Underneath.
Now there's a thought.
Oh, that'd be weird, wouldn't it? Do you know what? I'm really all right. Okay, I can have the evening off. I can have the rest of my life off.
So something like innate where health is lingering around somewhere.
I don't know if it'll catch on.
No.
Only if someone writes a book and gives 7 steps to innate health, then we'll be. I reckon the 7 steps take you to the end of the diving board. And then it's up to you. Well, as the official timekeeper, I would like to report that we are into 36 minutes past the hour.
It's injury time. It's injury time.
Extra time.
Well, carrying on like this, it's going to go to penalties.
Ooh, I don't know what you can be talking about, Mark. This is not a competition.
Do you know what? I just feel blown away by the wisdom in the call this evening. I really do. It's been really, really rich. Thank you, everybody. It's been lovely to hear all the wisdom coming through. And it seems like it's been a real sharing by everybody. Yeah. Great.
Doing good.
What date do we meet up again, Sue? Do you have the date in your diary?
I do. Let's just check it out.
And we do it at the same time again.
Yeah. Well, I make it the 13th of January. Is that right? Because, or should it be, in fact, the 20th? 20th of full moon, so I'll be out haunting. Oh, sorry.
Oh,
what's 4 weeks from now? 1, 2, 3. It would be the 20th, wouldn't it? Because we're the 16th now, aren't we?
Are you around on the 20th? Did you make it?
Either date is fine with me.
Is everybody okay for the 20th?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As far as I know, yeah.
The same time.
Yes.
Yeah, 8 o'clock for us in Europe. Well, no, we're all in Europe, aren't we? But mainland Europe.
You is on the continent to me, though.
Continent. Oh, yeah, I always forget that word.
Continent. Ooh, where are you going for your holidays? Oh, we're going on the continent.
As long as you're not in the continent.
Well, I know.
Yeah, in continent.
Okay.
Right. Okay. Well, let's wrap up then. So, does anyone want to kind of say anything now, as we reach the end?
Happy Christmas, everybody.
Yes, absolutely.
Yes.
Happy Christmas to everybody.
Happy Christmas.
I wanted to remind people that Space for Connection is rushing towards us, and we are taking bookings. And I can't remember what we're up to. I think we're pretty much over half now. So,
are we?
Yeah.
Me and Mark have got our flights booked, haven't we, Mark?
Good boy.
I might not come. I've got my flight booked.
I know.
Yeah. Oh, big talk. I might, or I
I'm
might.
so busy.
Yes,
I can't.
exactly.
Never know what's going to happen.
Well, I'm going to put something out tomorrow. So if anybody knows anybody else you think that might be interested, who might not come across the information, another lady that I met today, the one that was.
I think she brought the principals to England. Is that one?
So, well, Sheila can give me. I'll mention it tomorrow on Ice Cream for the Soul as well.
Okay, brilliant. Yeah, yeah. Because we've got about so far at least 6 people who haven't been before, which I think is great. It's really nice. So we'll see. Anyway, lovely. Happy Christmas.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
love to everybody.
a happy and healthy New Year.
Yay!
Happy and
Yeah,
healthy being the key word.
Yes.
healthy.
Healthy.